Hello, everyone. I'm William Olia, the community manager for Gravity Bridge, and I'm here today with Deborah St-Pierre, the CEO and co-founder of Althea, and Justin Kilpatrick, CTO and co-founder of Althea, part of the team that's been working on Gravity Bridge. And today we're going to talk about the latest Gravity Bridge developments, what's coming down the pipeline, and answering your questions. So if you have any, you can pop over to YouTube and drop them in the comments. And with that out of the way, I'm going to hand it over to Deborah, who's going to start us off.
Yeah, thanks so much, Will, for that introduction. And thanks for everybody for being here and chatting with us about all kinds of things, Gravity Bridge. And I'm really excited to share with y'all one of the things that is, really important to me and something that I enjoy working with. And that's our what we call our Gravity Growth Program, right? So this is an establishment of, some working groups and governance infrastructure around our Gravity Grants program. Gravity Bridge is this piece of infrastructure, not unlike a sewer system or an aqueduct or any kind of large scale project used by many community members, but also like these big projects. They're somewhat, unsexy. They're around a long time. They need to do, things like be reliable, be secure. And so when we look to how do we distribute Grav to those folks who are maintaining and building this big piece of infrastructure over, it's already been several years. And of course, it's going to be this kind of glue and piping within the, Cosmos ecosystem for many years to come. We kind of also leaned a bit on, some of the community governance architecture in the meat space and real world, and took kind of, let's look at how we could develop like working groups that then have a representative who is a grants administrator as part of like a multi-sig account that is, part of this larger Gravity Growth team that will serve for approximately a year and then rotate through. So we're starting to really build on this idea and have lots of community members being involved with how that's going to evolve over time. And one of the first two grants two grants I'm really excited about. One is to support user interface infrastructure with Gravity. Gravity Bridge is permissionless front ends, which is really exciting because you get a lot of innovative ideas from different teams. And Cosmos Station has done a great job with our current UI, spacestation.zone, where you can move things between the Ethereum ecosystem and the Cosmos ecosystem, namely between osmosis. Also, I think there's some new stuff coming down the pipeline Justin's going to talk about later there with like a one-click send straight from ETH to DEX. That's been in the works for quite some time, but I won't go into that quite yet. So we're going to put a grant package together for people to put proposals in around a continuing work on the UI, which is a big part of our ecosystem, and also something that we're like excited to have many teams. Also, Blockscape's done a great job on a UI too. In the ecosystem. So that's going to launch this week. Look for some information out over the next day or maybe two. So really excited to share that with you, and then grow with the community, this ecosystem of partners that kind of come in, are part of the governance process, and also building not only in Gravity, but also in Cosmos public goods. And I think the other main grant that we are going to launch as part of that is a Cosmos Public Good grant. And Justin, if you can maybe talk a little bit about what that grant proposal is going to be for, I think that'd be great.
Okay, so for Cosmos Public Goods, we wanted to work specifically on some better documentation for people getting started, making user interfaces in the Cosmos ecosystem. So, there's really great documentation around MetaMask, sort of how to make transactions, what RPC to talk to, how to decode, how to decode chain information. And a lot of this exists kinda or in incomplete forms in the Cosmos ecosystem. And part of this is just because of how quickly things have been evolving. Very recently there was this big upgrade to the sort of protobuf messaging format, which you probably heard a lot about when it was happening. But now that it's completed on all the chain side, all of the front ends, nobody's really using protobuf yet, even though it's pretty fast. It's kind of hard to get started with, and there are literally no guides. So that's sort of, no guides focused on the Cosmos SDK implementation. So we would like to help do that and help sponsor this sort of improved documentation, improved guidelines to make it easier for many different organizations to make front ends, not only for Gravity Bridge, but for any Cosmos SDK blockchain. And this is because we really believe in decentralizing front ends and making sure that there are many applications to interact with the decentralized apps that make up the Cosmos ecosystem. Because the sort of de facto standard is that you end up with only one way to interact with a given D app, and that's not good for decentralization, and it's not good for the enormous amount of options and flexibility. Any given interface, especially to a really powerful D app backend, is going to end up hiding some things and exposing others. And the more interfaces you have, the more options you'll be able to see without becoming overwhelmed.
Yeah, awesome. So if you are interested or your team is interested in participating in Gravity grants, please join us over on the Discord, and I'm sure we'll put some links into the appropriate chat channels. We have a great community over there. There's still also opportunity to become a validator. I think we have 200 slots, and I think we have about 140 validators that are part of our group now. And some of these folks have been participating in Gravity for many years now, and definitely appreciate the great work that we have over there. We also have some really exciting integrations that, if we have a few minutes, I would love to just go through a couple of those. Do we have some time, Will, to?
We do.
Let's talk NFTs, because I think that's one of the most exciting, fun parts of Gravity Bridge. And we've been working together with the amazing team at Stargaze. And they recently announced that you can send stars, their blockchain token, over to the Ethereum ecosystem. And you might see that on a UI pretty soon too. Just dropping a little alpha there. And then the work between sending Ethereum NFTs to Cosmos is also progressing along nicely. Justin, if you want to give us the technical where we're at, where we're going, I think that would be great. So I'm pretty excited about this one.
Yeah. So first, I just want to open by saying that we at the Gravity Bridge team is helping guide these changes, but Stargaze has provided development, horsepower to do all of this work. So they're the ones actually implementing it, and we're working together in a very, very sort of close partnership to actually get it done. So I've been very happy with that. And so far, what we've got is a first draft of the Solidity contract. And when I say first draft, I mean, you can deposit NFTs, you can withdraw NFTs, and it emits events. It does everything it really needs to do on the Ethereum side to send an NFT over to Cosmos. Now we're working on the next steps, which is where we sort of take these events, move them sort of across the divide over to the Cosmos side of the chain, and the code to the Cosmos side of the bridge, where we will then process these events and, mint that NFT or mint a representation of that NFT on the sort of Cosmos SDK, the Gravity Bridge side of the bridge. So yeah, this is a big milestone. Obviously, the Solidity contracts will need to go through some auditing before we finally deploy it. And what's I see a question. It's for ERC 721. The question was, for NFT bridging, what protocol are we supporting? Currently, it's ERC 721. We could do ERC 1155 if there is, sufficient demand. So we will look into that some more. Right now, we're just working on getting a proof of concept. And now, what I think is the coolest part about what I think is the coolest part about how we're developing this NFT integration has actually nothing to do with NFTs at all, but it has to do with how the Gravity Bridge, Gravity.Sol, the contract that actually holds the funds on behalf of Gravity Bridge on Ethereum, is not upgradable. We made this intentional choice and we said, hey, we're going to bet on writing a radically simple contract, and we're going to make a bet on security. There's no multi-sig set that can rescue the bridge. There is nothing but the validators. They have full control here. And this is very different from a lot of other bridge designs. And this is really our first opportunity to prove that we can have we can have a bridge that is not upgradable and still expand it, still add features, still continue to improve it. And that, one of these big things that people are saying, okay, we need an upgradable contract because we're going to want to add features later. And that's true. You always want to do more stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to add the sort of security vulnerability that is upgradability on Ethereum. Upgradability always involves a set of people who can modify the contract. And in the case of the bridge, that means would be capable of stealing the funds. So this is a big part of our design at Gravity, and something that I'm really excited to see play out, because it's something that I've been thinking of since we first started designing Gravity Bridge. And we made the frankly difficult decision to say, okay, no upgrades. We're going to commit to doing this right. I see one comment in the chat I want to get to before I wrap up. I'm sorry, Will.
No,
and that is that so the comment is about some other bridges that are using upgradable contracts. As far as I know, I don't actually know of another bridge that doesn't use upgradable contracts in their design. If somebody could point one out to me, I would like that. But as far as I'm aware, it's only Gravity Bridge and Gravity Bridge derived protocols. There are many forks of Gravity Bridge. Many people like the simplicity, compactness, and straightforward design, and they have forked it to use around the Cosmos ecosystem, which is great. That's what we always intended. But as far as I'm aware, Gravity Bridge is the only class of non-upgradable bridges. I think there may be some cross-chain swaps that are not upgradable, but you can't quote me on that either. So if anybody knows, very excited to hear. Thank you.
With that,
actually, Justin, if you want to go on, there's one follow-up question on the trust level that the Solidity contract, Gravity Sol, relies on.
Oh, yeah. So the trust model of Gravity Sol is that it simulates a vote of the validator set on Cosmos, meaning that every validator is in the Gravity Bridge contract with their weighted voting power. And from there, votes require 2/3 of active voting power. So the security model of Gravity Bridge .Sol, so the Gravity contract on Ethereum, is exactly the same as the Tendermint security model. You need it, so that's 1/3 of voting power can theoretically halt the chain or halt the bridge if they were to all go offline simultaneously. And you need 2/3 before you can do things like spend money, upgrade the validator set, generally pass consensus proposals. And this allows us to really carefully mirror the security models of the underlying blockchain, which is as close to IBC as you can get in Ethereum, which is currently a proof of work blockchain. So you have to design around lack of finality, which is a whole nother essay we could get into. Yeah, I think that answers that question. As for the question about what trust does Gravity Sol rely on, to sort of summarize my last couple of sentences, the validator set. Very straightforward. There's nothing else going on here. With a lot of bridge designs, you'll have they have some subset of the validator set, or they have their distinct validator set that's not related to a chain or anything like that. For Gravity Bridge, you go to MintScan, you go to any block explorer, you take a look at the Gravity Bridge validators. There you are. Problem solved.
So I was actually going to ask you to talk a little bit more too, Justin. Thank you so much for that great explanation. But we've got some really exciting things coming up in the update we're calling Mercury. I think that there's some exciting like UX improvements, and I just wondered if you could kind of share what's in that package and why it's important and exciting.
Yeah. So what's coming up in the Mercury update is first and foremost a lot of bug fixes and stability improvements, which are always nice. And I like to focus on improving and making code more stable, before you focus on adding new features, because you want things to be reliable. And specifically, we want to be reliable for the next part that we're talking about, the feature that we're really starting to work on. At this point, it's nearly finished, but the feature we're about to deploy is IBC prefix forwarding. So what this means is that right now on the Ethereum side of the bridge, if you send a transaction, if you send a message send to Cosmos. So you're saying, okay, I'm sending this to Cosmos, and you send it to a Gravity 1 address. It shows up on that Gravity address on the other side of the bridge, right? Well, with this new forwarder, if you send tokens or an NFT or whatever to a Stars 1 address, it will show up on Stargaze. If you send it to an Osmo 1 address, it'll show up on Osmosis. If you send it to a Cosmos 1 address, it'll show up on the Cosmos Hub. And the idea is that you're interacting with Ethereum and your destination chain, and you're using Gravity Bridge, but you're not actually on Gravity Bridge. You don't have to talk to a Gravity Bridge RPC. You don't have to interact with Gravity Bridge in any way. And this is part of how you build transparent infrastructure. It's not in your face. It sort of is constantly working for you behind the scenes. And that leads back to what I was talking about, stability earlier, that when something is planning to operate completely behind the scenes, it needs to be extremely stable, or you face issues along the lines of, something fails and you don't know why. Like any given part in your car or, a section of road, you really don't want it failing unexpectedly. You want it to be very consistent in its operation and very reliable. So this is what we focus on. Because we're trying to make an application where, and this also ties back to how our grants program is making it easier, or how we want to fund documentation to make it easier to build, easier to develop front ends in the Cosmos ecosystem, is that we see a future where any given any given Cosmos chain, any given zone, any given DApp can simply interact with Ethereum and their application. And Gravity Bridge is seamless infrastructure that you don't have to concern yourself with.
Yeah, and I just wanted to kind of also underline that point as well too. I mean, we can think about just the expansive use cases and really the benefit this is going to bring to all of Cosmos, right? I mean, this was built with kind of our Althea use case in mind, which was just if you want to use bandwidth, you want to use USDC and easily accessible ETH stablecoins. This could also work for things like Akash, right? You just send USDC and you buy compute power, you buy bandwidth, you buy your own Sentinel, you buy Cent so that you can use that for your DVPN, right? And all of these things then bring in all of that liquidity from and the ease of access from the Ethereum ecosystem, and onboard a whole bunch of new folks and new ecosystems and use cases into the Cosmos ecosystem. And I'm really excited about that. Really being like, this is what the vision of Cosmos was, an interconnected, like interchain of blockchains, being able to bring that liquidity around and having that all be in a really simple UX, right? And this is like to Justin's point, this is why the bridge is just stable. It just works. We can work with other Cosmos blockchains and they don't have to worry about what their bridge provider is doing behind the scenes. They just know they can traverse traffic across it, and then their users can use it simply and reliably every day. Before we get to more questions, I did also want to welcome, Comdex to the Gravity Bridge family too, who is also, hi, Comdex, awesome. Thanks so much for being part of the fam. And then we also have Nim and Certic also is, and then Atoms. Atoms now can be in the Ethereum ecosystem as well. So One of the use cases we envisioned was started Gravity Bridge was atoms on Uniswap. That is now possible. So excited to welcome all the new blockchains, and I think we've got a few in the works as well too. If you are a Cosmos blockchainer team interested in having your token through the Gravity Bridge to the Ethereum ecosystem, we have a very simple kind of process for that. It's basically just opening an IBC channel and then putting in a governance proposal for the DNOM. Again, join us over there in Discord. We can help you through that process. So did I miss anybody, Will, on our, let's join the, it's been an exciting week.
I believe you missed the dollar coin.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
Well, it's almost, we were knocking them out about 1 or 2 a day, for a few days there. So it's
yeah,
but I think we hit them.
Exciting. All right. I was wondering if we had any questions on YouTube, or we can see the, some of the questions here on StreamYard, but I'm not able to see YouTube questions or Twitter. Are you, Will?
I think we're current right now.
Okay.
I'm pulling up the Twitter here.
Just looking and seeing if we had any here either.
Got some
It's
likes.
on mind. So we can talk a little bit about kind of what's coming down the pipeline. Let me kind of bullet it for everybody. We've got kind of the basic infrastructure in place. We're doing the Mercury update so that streamline can one-click process can happen. We're inviting lots of new. Persistence. How did we forget persistence? Also, sorry to interrupt my train of thought there, but I was so excited. They're a really great team. Really glad to have you on board as well too. And excited for you to be part of the Gravity Bridge team. Thank you so much. So kind of what's happening, Gravity Bridge architecture. So we can start the grants process. We can start distributing Grav around that to the teams that are building on that. As we integrate with more DEXs, then we're also looking at LM for, ETH pools and these kinds of things will also follow. Again, we want to do that very procedurally and deliberately and get all of the UX and stability alongside that too. And then, of course, we have the Mercury update that's coming down the pipeline. So I think there's just a lot of exciting things as the ecosystem is growing and as we start getting that liquidity in, I don't know if anyone else has any questions.
So the question here, if Gravity Bridge's vision is to be like a public utility, would it be worthwhile to incentivize other chains like Osmosis to run Gravity Bridge validators?
Yeah, well, so that's a great question, and it's right. We very much see ourselves as aqueducts, sewers, these large kind of public works, infrastructure projects, and that's very much the way that we've, designed, both from a governance and social perspective, and also the way that the tech is built too. We actually did 2 initial airdrops, one to some of the kind of early Atom holders who were part of the bridge process and voted on things in Atom. And then also to the, beside that as well, in the Genesis tokens, there's 9% that goes of the Genesis that goes to key core infrastructure entities like ICF and Tendermint, Peggy, JB, who are all kind of part of like initial building and are part of the Gravity Bridges journey. There also was a airdrop to the Osmosis community pool in that same spirit of collaboration with a DEX, right? So there can be, shared stakeholdership there. Now, what the Osmosis community would like to do with that, or how they want to use that or distribute it, is of course up to their community. But in that, kind of good faith, we distributed that. We do also have a portion set aside for the Atom holders who the ICF is part of. So that also, the Atom holders, the Cosmos community pool, Cosmos Hub community pool. So like Osmos community pool, Cosmos community pool has tokens that they can decide what they'd like to do with. So yes, great suggestion. We're on it. Already done.
So yeah, no additional questions just at the moment.
All right. Well, I think we can. I think we can probably wrap up. If there is a thoughts on the bridge panel, I was just going to mention that. So there is an osmosis bridge panel tomorrow. So that we'll be participating in with some of the other bridges in and outside the Cosmos ecosystem. There's I believe there's like Axelar. There's also Wormhole, who's not necessarily part of the Cosmos ecosystem. There's a bit of unclarity there on exactly kind of what the framework of the award is and sort of what the process is. And so happy to, sit together and talk about our different bridges with a bunch of like really great projects that have built, different use cases and nuances. So as we talk, hopefully kind of osmosis' mental model about both the judging criteria, the service award, selection, all of those things will hopefully become more clear, because at this point it's really a bit nebulous about what it is exactly we're talking through. But again, always sharing stage with a bunch of great projects is always an honor, and happy to come and talk about why like gravity. We think gravity might be a good use case for osmosis. In the meantime, there is ETH pools, USDC. Will actually is going to have a guide that he's going to be putting on Twitter a little bit later today. And maybe
actually, that's already up.
Oh, there you go. So if you want to check out how Gravity Bridge would interact with osmosis, you can do so right now. So if you wanted to go, let's say, swap your USDC for region, that's something that you can do right now on osmosis. So really, that gives you a good chance to get a feel of exactly what this is, because it works right now. So check it out, send some USDC over. There's a lot of great Cosmos projects to spend that USDC on. Get some Akash or Sentinel or Region or SOM or whatever you like, and bring your ETH liquidity over to Cosmos, and you can do that through the Gravity Bridge. So
there was a question though, if we have a representative from Gravity Bridge at the panel discussion.
So there will be both Justin and I. So Justin, of course, is very versed on all the technical aspects. Like, you built a ton of the code on Gravity Bridge. And it's pretty massive too. I think there's something like 70,000 lines of code on Gravity. I mean, it was an undertaking, a magnum opus. But and then I'll be there to talk about some of the governance and the roadmap and kind of how we look to support things like osmosis and those integrations.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Or are we gonna, Justin? Any final words? Well, and that's about it, folks. We're good. Yeah.
I just want to encourage people to get involved in Gravity Bridge, join the Discord. As was mentioned earlier, we still have open validator slots if you're interested in running a validator, but that's not the only thing that you can do. Our relayer ecosystem is incentivized, so you can run a relayer to help bring transactions between Gravity Bridge and Ethereum. And you will be paid in a portion of the tokens that people are relaying. So feel free to look at the documentation for that, in addition to just validation. So there's more than one way to participate in the operation of Gravity Bridge.
I think someone else was asking about liquidity on osmosis for Grav. And I noticed that several people have been talking about putting up a osmosis shared incentive pool. So as is common with most blockchain projects in the Cosmos ecosystem, launching on osmosis, there's usually a shared governance proposal that speaks to shared LM incentives on the Grav Osmo pool. So I would expect that to be down the pipeline pretty soon. And it's just a matter of getting that proposal up.
Yeah, and as Justin said, feel free to join us on Discord. I'm going to add that link in the description of this video in just a few minutes once it wraps up. And yeah, thanks, Deborah. Thanks, Justin. And to anyone watching, I'll see you over there on Discord.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Good to see you.